Welcome back, Guardians. Okay, just for context, the reason why sometimes it seems like there's dead air before I start these is because one, I'm hoping that the quality of my recording will balance out. As I've noticed when I've gone back to quickly scan through some of my earlier videos, because like I said, I don't do these just for content's sake. I actually do them as journals and records of my gameplay so I can go back and see where I made mistakes, what I could have done better to improve my gameplay, that kind of situation. Plus, also, it's a lot of note taking that I do here for other things that I go and engage with and other games that I play with. So, what I'm waiting for is that little bit of a buffer time to make sure that, the video is presenting properly, that I'm recording properly, because there's that little banner that shows up on the PS5 at least that says, broadcast started, but then it goes away after a few seconds. And I'm like, I don't understand the context behind that. I don't understand the reason behind that other than to let you know it's there, and then it lingers, of course. But I mean, I know I started a video, so why isn't it? Having a banner show up that says, "Hey, your video ended," and I didn't end the video, that makes sense. That's actually functional. That's a lot of what I've been going through recently with my gameplay and my game designing. So I'm trying to identify things that I want to be functional. Now, I have been making a an RPG, tabletop RPG. I have to delineate that because video games RPGs have taken the word RPG, and now when everybody says RPG, it's automatically presumed you're talking about something you play on a computer system. I say RPG, and I'm always talking about pencil, papers, and dice. Well, that's the thing is that I got inspired to create a solitaire card game which has a lot of variations out there already. And my version is basically a dungeon crawl. So it's essentially it's nine. You go through anywhere from 6 to 9 rooms, and these rooms or areas is represented by a number of cards that you pull from the deck, and out of those you pull out challenges, which would be represented by the court cards, the royals, and then your ranks is where you draw your ability powers from and stuff like that. And I've had like 3 or 4 different difficulty levels. You could start off with like novice, level one character. Then you go up to like a level two, level three, and level four character. And at level four character, it gets really hard to finish the deck. The deck, of course, being the dungeon. And I started thinking to myself, well, it'd be kind of cool if I could tie this mechanic into a RPG, an actual role playing game. And so for a long time, I kind of thought about it, and it does kind of. I have some bridges here and there, but I started struggling with the idea of uh, coming on to. I wanted to come on. I wanted to develop a singular engine to resolve all actions that have a chance of failure. Now, D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, came from a tabletop wargaming environment. And that is why when you go to combat in D&D, it feels like its own separate game as opposed to everything else you're doing earlier in the base game, the exploration and RPG socializing pillar side of the game, 3 pillars of D&D. It's exploration, role play, and combat. Although I consider exploration and combat to also be part of role play, but you know what I'm talking about. Social encounters, investigation activities, and then combat encounters. Social encounters and combat encounters can also be seen the same, but I'm getting semantic here and I don't want to do that. So when you're doing exploration, that's its own little mini game. When you're doing the social interaction, influencing NPCs or things like that, that's its own little mini game. And then you have combat, which is its own little mini game. And a lot of contemporary RPGs try to bundle all 3 of those mini games into one activity. And I could see the elegance in having these 3 pillars represented by their own mechanics, but at the same time, it feels cumbersome to have to manage all that in your brain. I wanted something that was going to be portable, fast, and not necessarily lethal, but challenging, in the sense that there are actual stakes involved in the game. D&D has lost its luster for me because it's too easy to revive characters. Death is not a challenge to overcome in the game anymore. Combat is no longer a consequence of poor player decisions, where it was in the earlier, the first and second edition AD&D games. Combat really was a consequence of just being a blunderbuss, running through the dungeon, cracking open doors, busting open chests, and being just a rowdy murder hobo basically. Um, where now, like, since about third edition or so, combat was kind of like a staple of the gameplay. And then by fourth edition, it really was the center of the game because Wizards of the Coast, at the time owning the property, wanted to make D&D something like World of Warcraft, and that's why you have all these little video gamey kind of like mechanics and aspects and things in the game, which turned a lot of people off of D&D. But also for players like myself, who was at the time a miniature war gamer, was like, yeah, I like this. I was playing Warhammer 40K and Warhammer Fantasy at the time, and I was also experimenting with a lot of other little um, combat style games, even going so far as to reading into Little Wars, written by H.G. Wells. So the point being is that I say to myself, okay, well, I'm having a struggle uh, trying to formulate a mechanic that can translate between combat encounters, exploration encounters, and social encounters easily. That you can actually make a combat encounter a puzzle solving encounter, or which is exploration, or you can make it a social encounter, which technically is also puzzle solving. Again, I'm getting into semantics. This why don't we take the same path that Artisan and Gygax took? Let's start with a combat game, and from there extract the elements that could be used for social encounters and exploration. And I've gotten to that point where I'm pretty solid with the idea of what the combat encounter is and how those engines, how those mechanics can translate to exploring an area or engaging in NPC interactions. And it all kind of works. Essentially, I've made combat as about as fast as picking a lock or checking for traps, um, or looking for secret passages. So there's like that middle ground because like when you're picking a lock or checking for secret passages, it's a single die roll, and you can make well, you can make multiple attempts each turn, of course, and more players in their group can make multiple attempts each turn. This is like the bog standard RPG experience, and there was in D&D fourth edition there was this thing called a skill challenge, and basically you had to make so many successes before you got so many failures before you can succeed in the skill challenge. And the chase mechanic operates like this in fifth edition, and it's okay. It does a thing. um, I kind of basically what you're doing is you're assigning hit points to the lock or to the secret passage. The secret passage is actively trying to hide from you. Basically, you have to see it like that. Even though a secret passage is technically a static element in the game, in most RPGs it would be considered an unopposed role. I've made everything in my game an opposed role. You are working against some outward force that you have no control over. That force has its own agency and is actively working against you. And I've taken this from the philosophical or the observational perspective that you ever like walk down the hallway and for no fucking reason whatsoever, you trip. You trip in an open hallway with nothing on the floor, nothing on the walls, nothing there to make you, lose your balance. Your shoelaces are tied, your feet are, you're barefoot practically even, and you all of a sudden, whoa, you lose your balance, you fall over and you trip. What the hell happened? Well, there's a, your clumsiness has happened, but that's a force that can work against you. So putting a three strikes you're out kind of scenario to the basics is what I'm experimenting with right now. And so far, it's been pretty satisfying. Now, here comes the key. I'm thinking about moving away from dice because with dice, you have a lot of swinginess to it. There's You take all your agency that you want to put into your activity in the game, and you pull it all away with a random number generator. And dice don't reset themselves. Dice are a six-sided die has 1 in 6 chance of generating any of those faces. Um, a 2d6 situation creates a 2 in 6 chance of generating any of those faces, any of those numbers, with a higher percentage towards 3 and 4, because that's the bell curve we talk about sometimes in the past, some while ago. Excuse me a second. I'm also eating my breakfast while I'm doing this. I know, right? It's late enough in the day. It's like 12 o'clock my time Pacific. So the point is that having some kind of predictability in the role would imply that the player can actually influence that role. Now, normally, in my old mechanic, I had things called assets and advantages. which give you modifiers. And I wanted to kind of like remove the whole numbers thing. I don't want people adding and subtracting. If you add or subtract something in the game, it's going to be in the form of tokens. And again, like I said, I wanted this to be something that is as portable as possible, so I don't want a lot of tokens in there. So I came upon the idea of, well, I've seen some combat games recently, like 1 hour skirmish battles. A 1 hour skirmish is a combat rule system that uses a two-player. Each player uses a deck of cards, and the turn goes and goes and goes until someone pulls a joker. Then the turn ends. So you have a variable amount of time to get things done, and that kind of actually translates in a combat situation. How that would translate in an RPG or exploration session, role playing or exploration session segment, I'm not sure just yet, but I'm pretty confident that having the cards play into the combat game and then play into the RPG kind of would tie all three of those together. So you'd have the solitaire game that you could play quickly by yourself, but as just an abstraction of the game, but still apply some agency to your choices. And then that translates to the combat game, and that translates to the role playing game. So eventually, I'll set up my camera to shoot the table, and you guys can see what I'm actually talking about. That's like way off in the future. I really want to hammer out the rules more. I got to do a lot more play testing before things get solid, enough to the point where I feel comfortable sharing what I've done. Um, because I mean, I used to do a lot of this work in progress kind of stuff, especially on Instagram and Facebook. I would like, here's my underpainting. Now here is the backgrounds. Now I've done the details. This is now the final code. Blah blah blah. And it's like, drip feeding content is just bullshit, and I don't really want to do that. So anyway, that being said, all that kind of early journal shit, which is just for myself, really, believe it or not, is out of the way. Let's get into the weekly review because that's the title of the thumbnail. It's 12 minutes into the video already. YouTube is going to be wetting themselves with the opportunity to slap a bunch of ads in here. Do let me know, by the way, if you've been watching all my videos, watch them all the way through. Do you get any ads in the middle of the videos? Because I don't have that set up as a preference. Anyway, no surprise, Iron Banner is still here. Valor for the taking, obviously, and of course. We're going to make the shop review real quick because I don't really think there's going to be much in here. Oh, let's go ahead and crack that. Yeah, I got a down under dance. Okay, I gotta check that out. Is that really what I think it is? Because I've been watching like a lot of old '80s videos, and if this is a dance that they used in one of the, no, how many of you could do this? No, that has nothing to do with it. Okay, never mind. Never mind. That has nothing. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, fine. Whatever. Let's get back over here. Oh, season pass, another one. Okay. Oh, look at this. One more. God dang it. Please be a sparrow. Like, yeah, there you go. At least I can get some glimmer out of that. Buzz off. Yeah. Mosquito season is kind of almost over here in the West, so don't need to worry too much about that. Shader wise, empirical, empirical imperative. It's a good one. Heat shielded is kind of neat, and that's okay, I guess. Um, for those of you with the ghost projections, want to go ahead and support your favorite foundry, which of course they don't. That was like a flash in the pan. Vest is I already own it though. Down here at the bottom, you've got nothing to see here. That's actually kind of funny. I think I might get that one. Sand in the eyes. Oh, that's kind of fucked up. Pocket sand. Yeah, that's a King of the Hill reference. Let's see, golf tango shell. GT shell. That's kind of. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna kit bash that. I'm gonna actually make this as a model. That'll be kind of fun to do. The Eclipse Hunter. Okay, now we're talking here. Let's see how does it shade. Because this is Black Armory stuff, so I'm going to be a total freak for it. I love the styling on this. This is kind of cool. This is another one that might be good for kit bashing into a desktop toy. It's really nice. Yeah, that is very toyerific. Yeah, I'm definitely picking that up. Oh, then the Sierra whiskey. It goes with the this is the sparrow that goes with the shell. Now, why? I know there's a ship that goes with these, with the shell and the ship and the sparrow, but I don't know why. Okay. Hmm. Oh well. So now we're on the hunt for bright dust. Speaking of, don't forget to pick up your freebie. That's only about 350. And let's see what we got here for a nightfall. 'Cause I didn't read last week's twib. I guess is what they call it. We're here on Europa. Oh, that's going to be the heist, isn't it? Let's go ahead and launch it real quick. I want to do expert so there's no matchmaking, so I don't have to wait around for anybody. I just want to check out shit. For some reason, Raid Shadow Legends has been crashing on my Chromebook a lot. And it's really weird as to why it would, because it's an Android operating system just like my phone, and my phone plays it perfectly fine. Yeah, it's this stupid fucking heist. Ah, fucking hate these things. Not doing the heist, kids. This week I'll be sitting out those nightfalls. That is such a pain in the ass. You know why? You know why I really resist it? Because in the season that that thing was relevant, that it was part of the activity, you could unlock aspects at the helm that will allow you to bypass the laser beams and security systems, which was the whole point of going through that whole scenario over and over and over, is to be able to do it easier so you can get the guns and stuff. But since, even back then, I wasn't farming it for anything. I didn't care about it as much as, as much as it should have been, something of a hunt for me. Let's see. We're gonna go ahead and shade this motherfucker. New Age Black Armory. Nice. Now see that's pretty badass. That is pretty badass. So let's see. Elements wise, I think I've got I could probably make this all out of just, sheet stock of styrene. But this right here looks very much like an X-Wing fuselage, so I could actually cannibalize an X-Wing from that. Down here might be like a Robotech or Macross Valkyrie. I can do that, especially these fins right here that can work out of that. It'll all work out. Let's see what we got here. Resources, resources. All about the resources. Oathkeeper. I keep getting these. Ooh, 2,000. Okay. That's garbage. I don't know. Nah. I keep getting these oath keepers, and I'm like, I don't play with bows that much anymore. That would be something that I need. So I'm gonna get rid of that. Finally got a 2,000 on that one. I need a 2,000 in my legs and my chest piece, and that's about it. But I mean, chasing. We're chasing. Yeah, sparrows don't give you any cash back. That's kind of bullshit. Chasing shit that I don't need. So whatever. Power levels aren't important for what I like to do. I actually have more fun playing patrols than anything else. I know that sounds seriously sad, but uh, it is a lot more fun, believe it or not. Uh, let's see, what was the other one? Rocket launcher? Rocket launcher and arc. Okay, so I don't think I have an arc-based rocket launcher, but that's all right. I don't have an arc-based SMG anymore, but that's all right. We'll just use our sword or the Tarnation. Yeah, vault's still nice and empty. Good times. Oh, let's see what the chase weapon this. Let's see if how far I am to the chase weapon. I think I already picked it up. Have I actually picked it up already? Yeah, I already picked it up. Doo, doo, doo. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, hanging out, listening to me rattle on about my little side project that I'm working on. Oh, cool. We have a Lost Sector legendary. Bell's Labyrinth is pretty good, but I'm not going to do that. Anyway, till next time, be nice, play well.